Mallika Nair, our vibrant VPPR, and the question and answer session is also handed by her. I am handing over to Toastmaster Mallika Nair. Over to Mallika Nair. Over to Mallika Nair for the introduction.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, for that beautiful introduction. It is my honor and privilege to introduce my dear friend, Nisha Shivram, to Anantapuri Toastmasters. Nisha Shivram, an active Toastmaster since 2007, past president of Talking Matters Toastmasters Club in Qatar, district PR officer, assistant division director, current division PQD, district champion international speech 2019, 2020, and 2021, district champion evaluation speech contest 2017 and 2019, first runner-up regional quarterfinals of World Championship of Public Speaking 2019, and the semi-finalist of World Championship of Public Speaking 2021. She runs an educational events company, Speak and Shine, and also hosts a talk show named Talks of Pedia. A mother of two lovely kids, Kannan and Gauri, and she loves reading and photography. Please put your hands together to welcome distinguished Toastmaster Nisha Shivram for the module presentation. Nisha, screen is yours.
Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, my dear friend Toastmaster Mallika, and everybody here, good evening. Somebody had correctly said, I don't remember who, that if you want to win in a game, you have to first learn the rules of the game and then play it better than anybody else in that game. And that is what we are going to do today. We are going to learn the rules of the game so that we play better than everybody else in that game. Why am I calling it a game? Now, if you look at it, any contest, be it a speech contest, a sports one, a singing contest, each contest has its own rules. And that is why it is always better to call it a game, because everybody is a player there, right? Everybody wants to win. Now, before I go on to the session and tell you what those rules are, I want to know from all of you who all are planning to take part in the speech contest this year, especially the international speech contest. Nobody?
Me?
Okay. Okay. Now, what do you do when you decide to take part in the contest? What is the first thing that you do when you decide to take part in the contest?
You have a speech in mind.
Great. Okay.
Which will surely
participate in an event.
Preparation. There should
Go
be
for a
message.
title of the speech.
Title of the speech. All right. Okay.
Message.
Message. Yes.
Contents.
Okay. Anybody else?
Try to find out what is required, what is the criteria.
That brings to the first rule of this contest, especially international speech. It is not speech writing, it is not topic, title, message. It is to know what is required in that speech, and we call it judging criteria. I have been a contestant for so many years, and every year when I go for contest, I have seen contestants who are not aware of this judge's ballot. Unless and until you are a judge, nobody takes time to go through the judge's ballot seriously. As a contestant, if you're serious about the speech contest, the very first thing that you need to do is just go through the judge's ballot, not once, not twice, but many times as possible. Now, let me tell you, any speech can be a winning speech. Any speech can be a winning speech if it meets the judging criteria. You can talk about English grammar, you can talk about music, you can talk about dance, but what you have to make sure that your speech meets the criteria. And in a speech contest, your audience is not the normal audience who are watching you, it's the judges. Yes. And if the judges feels that yes, this speech perfectly fits the judge's ballot, you will be the winner. And at times you look at some winners and think that, oh my God, what was so special about that speech that she won? She won because she met the criteria. That's it. It's as simple as that. After many speech contests, people come to me and tell me that, oh, Nisha, you could have won. When I used to go for my district contest in the past, people would come and tell me that, Nisha, you could have won. I have never felt that because I have always felt that somebody else played it better than me, and that's why they won. It's as simple as that. Now, if you look at, let us go back to the judges' ballot. If you look at the International Speech Contest judges' ballot, and Malika, if you had shared it in the chat box for everybody to look at.
I will share it again. I already shared. Yeah.
The content itself carries 50 marks. And that content part is divided into 3 categories. And normally when we write speeches, we don't look at these things. We just have a great story. We think that we have a great message. Oh, my speech is perfect. No, sir. So you need to look at these 3 things in the content part. Number 1 is speech development. How have we developed the speech? And when it comes to speech development, we all know that a speech carries a structure, right? We all know that. Is there anybody who doesn't know that a speech carries a structure? Everybody knows, or is there anybody who doesn't know that a speech carries a structure? It's a basic thing, okay? So a speech carries a structure, and what is the structure? A speech is divided into 3 parts. Introduction, that is how you start your speech. The body of the speech, and then the conclusion.
Bluetooth mode.
Okay, yeah. So introduction is how you start the speech, body of the speech, and then the conclusion. Now, when you write a speech, my suggestion would be to forget about the introduction. Just forget about the introduction, forget about the conclusion. Let us focus on the body of the speech. That is where you need to start your speech, which means you need to start your speech with the story. For example, if you're planning to give a speech on, let's say, weight loss, so you need to first write the story of your weight loss journey. Why did you feel that you need to lose weight? What are the reasons? Okay, so you need to start with the story. So whatever comes to your mind in the story, you just write it down. Don't worry about the word count. Don't worry about anything. Just write the story as it is. Once you write down the story, now we have to develop the story further. Okay? Now, what are the things that you need to look at when it comes to a story? Number 1, conflict. We call it conflict. What is the meaning of this word conflict? What do you mean by conflict? In a general term, conflict means disagreement, right? Or an argument or a fight. But when it comes to a story, conflict means the challenges or the problems or the obstacles that the speaker is facing. So when you write the story, you need to make sure that you are addressing a problem in the story. For example, let's take the example of this weight loss. I decide to write a speech on weight loss this year. My conflict in the story of weight loss is that I'm a lazy person. I don't want to go to the gym and, do all those stupid exercises to lose weight. That is my conflict. That is the challenge that I am going through. When you have a conflict in the story, you need to make sure that you give solution to your audience. You just cannot leave the audience by saying that, I have this challenge, I'm very lazy. Now the audience will ask, so what did you do? How did you face that challenge? So you need to give a solution to your audience. So I can say in my case, I hired a coach, and this coach kept on motivating me on a daily basis and tracking my fitness schedule, tracking my diet. So this is the solution that I could find, and this is the solution that I'm giving to you. Conflict is done, solution is done. Now that is not enough. I have applied that solution in my life. Now I need to show the transformation that happened in my life. Okay, so Nisha was lazy. Nisha hired a coach. Did Nisha change? So I need to tell the audience that after 6 months of working with this coach, I lost this much of weight, and now I'm a fit person, or I take part in all this, cycling and running and marathon and all those stuff. So I need to show the transformation. So this is the formula that you need to remember when you write a story in your speech: conflict, solution, transformation. And that is what the audience is looking for: transformation. Did you change as a person when you applied that solution to your conflict? Now, in order to make your story even more interesting, you need to have characters. Okay, we watch a movie, and how does the movie become interesting? Because of the characters. So it's the same with your story. You need to have characters. At least one more character other than the speaker should be there. Now these characters can be living characters or a non-living one. Yeah, you can have a non-living character in your speech. Okay, somebody who gave you some motivation to do something. For example, in my speech for my semi-finals, a bag was the character, the main character of the story. A red bag. A red bag who instigated me to do something wrong. The red bag who gave me the lesson that what you're doing is not right, Nisha. Okay, so a character can be a living character or a non-living character. A character can be a positive character who would tell you that, yes, Nisha, you can do it. Go ahead. Go to the gym. Lose weight. A character can be a negative character who would say, not possible for you, Nisha, forget about it. So you need to have characters. Now, when you have characters in your story, the most important thing that you need to do is to describe that character. It's very important. People should remember that character even after the speech is done. So you need to describe the character. How does the character look like? Is there any speciality about that character? The hairstyle, the dressing, or the way they speak? Now in 2016, I gave a speech on rejections. And there was a character named Martha. Okay, so I had described Martha as Martha was a huge and heavy cafe owner. And she had this peculiar voice. Whenever she would meet me, she would look at me and say, Nisha, again rejected? My God, ridiculous. So she had this peculiar voice. Now, even now when people talk about the speech, they remember Martha because of this, special voice and the way Martha walked and looked at me and spoke. So you need to describe the character. Now, when you have characters in the story, the next thing that you need to have is dialogues, conversations. So you need to have at least 1 or 2 dialogues between the character and the speaker. Okay, so the dialogue should be there. Now, dialogues make your speech or story even more interesting. It adds some drama into the story and it adds humor also. Now, the last thing that you need to have in your story, and I call it, and I have learned it from my mentors, we call it VAC words. Have you ever heard about VAC words? V-A-K, VAC. V-A-K, VAC stands for visual. Visual words. These are the descriptive words. So when we describe a person or a thing or a location, And what we are doing is we are helping the audience to visualize everything. Okay, so when I say that I entered the room, there was a black sofa with red cushions, yellow curtains, and in a corner there was a green vase with purple flowers in it. So I'm describing everything. When I do that, I'm giving an opportunity to the audience to visualize everything that I am saying. Now, A in backward stand for auditory, all related to sound. Okay. So instead of saying that I went there and I knocked at the door, you can rephrase it by saying that I went there and tuck, tuck. So instead of I knocked at the door, I made that sound to make an impact. Now, if anybody has watched the speech of Lance Miller, I don't remember the year, there was a typical sound that he made when he swiped the card. So that sound remained in the mind of the audience. They remember, even when somebody says, they remember that speech. Okay, so that is auditory. You need to have some sort of sounds to make an impact. The last letter, K stands for kinesthetic. This is more about feelings and emotions. So you need to have those words in your speech to make your audience feel. Either it's your pain, joy, sorrow, shock, surprise. Okay, whatever you have felt as a character, you need to make the audience feel the same thing. Now, you may ask a question that why do we have to use visual, auditory, kinesthetic words? Is there anybody who has done neuro-linguistic programming or NLP?
Yes, I've done.
Yes.
Okay.
I've done it.
Now, in NLP, they will teach you that there are 3 types of people in this world. Malika doesn't remember anything, I know that. Okay. So, the one category of people, they are visual people. They love to see images. Now, these are the people who love watching movies. Okay, or if you start telling them a story, they will just look up and they will start visualizing. So, they are visual people. The second category of people are auditory. They are into sound. They love music, musical instruments. The third category of the people are kinesthetic. They are sensitive. Okay, you give them some happy news, they will start crying. You tell them something sad, they will start crying. They feel everything. Now, when you are standing in front of a large number of people, you need to remember that there are 3 kinds of people sitting in the audience. Some of them are visual, some of them are auditory, some of them are kinesthetic, some of them are combined, combination of all these 3. So at times, after your speech, if somebody comes to you and tells you that, Toastmaster Rusha, your speech was too emotional, it touched my heart. There itself, make sure he is kinesthetic. Somebody comes and tells you, somebody now sent me a message in the chat box. I think it's the general evaluator said, great voice modulation. Auditory. He loves voice, right? Somebody would come and tell you that, and it has happened with me a lot of times that, Nisha, it was a great speech, but, it hasn't touched my heart, which means the kinesthetic part in my story was missing. So as a speaker, especially as a contestant, it is your responsibility that you include all these things in your speech to make an impact, because they are judges, but they are also human beings, right? They feel, they listen, and they see. So this is how you need to develop the speech, develop the story. Once your story is ready, you look into the message. What is the message I'm trying to give to my audience? Now, based on that message, you will now write the introduction. Okay, so anybody here who starts writing the speech with the introduction, please stop doing it. We will always start writing the story first, and based on the message, we will write the introduction. So if my message is get up and do something to become fit, okay, if that is the message of my speech, weight loss, I can start my speech by asking that how many of you are lazy here? A simple question. Okay, so you can start your speech by asking a question to the audience, or you can crack a joke to make them laugh, or you can give them a shocking statement. The main intention of an introduction is to captivate the attention of your audience. And they say that the moment you open your mouth, your audience can make it, whether you will make or break as a speaker, which means you need to have a very powerful and strong introduction. And if you get the attention of your audience within those 3 to 5 seconds, there are chances that your audience will listen to the entire speech. Otherwise, you will fail as a speaker, especially as a contestant, because there are 10 other contestants lined up. So if you goof up in the introduction itself, then there are chances that they may not be interested in the speech further. Based on the message itself, now you will write the conclusion also. And your conclusion, let me tell you, is yet another powerful thing in your speech, because this is where most of the people wake up. Because now they know that the story has ended. This lady is slowly moving to the conclusion. Let me listen to the conclusion and see what she is saying. So your conclusion should be as powerful as your introduction, because the audience may forget the introduction, the audience may forget the story, but they will always remember the conclusion and the message that you gave. So this is how you need to develop the speech. This is what speech development is all about. Now, the next thing in your content is effectiveness. How effective is my speech? And when you have to measure the effectiveness by asking one simple question to yourself. Is my speech interesting enough to hold the attention of my audience from the beginning till the end? Is my speech interesting enough to hold the attention of my audience from the beginning till the end? How will you check that? In order to check the effectiveness of your speech, you can present the speech in different clubs in front of different people and see their reaction. How are they reacting? Are they taking their mobile phone and checking their WhatsApp messages when you are speaking? If they are doing that, if they are distracted, that means your speech is not effective enough. It is not interesting enough. Now, if you ask me, Nisha, how do you check your effectiveness? I have 2 little kids. Okay, I present my speeches in front of them all the time. And if a 6-year-old monkey mind listens to the story attentively, that means a 60-year-old will definitely listen to it. So if you can grab the attention of your audience with an interesting story, then your speech is effective enough. Now, the last part in content is speech value. Does my speech have value? How will you judge that? If your speech has the ability to shatter the thought process of your audience and force them to take an action, then your speech has a value. So if I'm giving a speech on weight loss, and if the audience, they go back home and they decide that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to the gym and doing something, that means my speech had some value. Okay, your speech should be able to not to force, but at least, put this thought in the audience mind that yes, it's time to take an action. Your speech should be able to shatter the thought process of your audience. And if you are able to meet these 3 things in the content part, there are chances that you will get at least 45 or 50 in the content category itself. Okay. Now, the second thing in the judges' ballot is delivery or presentation that carries 30 marks. And it is also divided into 3 things: voice, physical, and manner. Okay. Let me start with manner. Manner is all about how you appear in front of your audience. So it is not only about your dressing, your hairstyle, but the confidence level you exhibit when you are there on the stage. And just with your body language itself, your judges, the audience, will make out whether this person is nervous or confident or overconfident for that matter. So the manner should be such that it should exhibit confidence, and for that you need to stand in a correct posture. Somebody is from the army here, right? I think Rakesh, Toastmaster Rakesh. Now these army professionals know about posture, right? The way to stand. Why it is so important to have a correct posture or to stand in a correct posture? Who can tell me why is it so important? That too in public speaking. You can say that, I will just stand the way I want. Why is this so important?
You show the confidence level.
Okay, and
The confidence level increases if your
Okay.
posture is correct.
yes,
And
and
voice comes out better with correct.
Exactly.
Correct posture.
Exactly. When you have a correct posture, that helps in correct breathing. Okay, those who are in yoga, they will understand. When you have a correct posture, your breathing will be proper. And when you breathe properly, your voice will come out effectively. You will have a great throw of voice. And that is why you need to have a correct posture. Okay. Now let me come to the physical part. Physical is all about body language. How you use gestures, your facial expressions, and how you use the stage to convey the story. Now here, please understand that you should not be overdoing it to make it look as a drama or artificial movements. You should not be underdoing it. Your gestures, your facial expressions, everything should match the content or the emotions that you are trying to say. So if I say that, oh wow, that was a great event, now that excitement should be visible on my face. I can't say that, oh, that was a great event. I'm not happy, I'm not excited. Okay, but the words that I'm using is great, which means it was a good event. So I need to bring those expressions on my face. Your hand movements should be timely, which means the moment you say something, your hand should move according to that content. For example, if you say that he is a tall boy, so the moment you say tall, your hand should automatically go up. It should not come after 2 or 3 seconds of saying tall. So it should be timely. So the moment I say that, oh, it was a small box, right? Small. The moment I say small, this gesture should come up. So it should be natural, timely, and as per the content. Same with your stage movements. Now, many people ask me, how should I use the stage? It's such a huge stage there. How am I going to use such a big stage? Now, there you need to understand the story. Where exactly my story is happening. Okay, sometimes your story would happen in home, sometimes in school. Okay, you may have a story happening in the office. Now, what you need to do is you need to position your story on the stage properly. For example, if you have a story happening in the gym, in my case, weight loss, gym, and at home, now you need to divide the stage in gym and home so that you can move accordingly. Okay, movement on the stage does not mean that you are just moving here and there just because you have to use the stage. No, your movement should be very purposeful. So you need to divide that stage as per your story and move accordingly. So this was all about physical. Now let's come to the voice part, which is the important element in public speaking, voice. When you talk about voice, there are two things that you need to have. That is voice quality and voice modulation, two different things. Okay. Now what is voice quality? Is there anybody in this room who feels that, you can be a good speaker if you have a strong voice?
Oh, I cannot be a good speaker because I have such a feeble voice. What will I do?
No, anybody can be a speaker irrespective of what kind of a voice you have. All you need to have is some quality in the voice. And how can you bring quality? 3 elements. Loud. You need to be loud enough to be heard by everybody sitting in that hall or in that room. Okay, that means the correct volume. Second, clarity. Some people have great voice, but their words will not be clear because they are too fast or too slow, or sometimes they just mumble inside their mouth, right? Or because of their accent or tone, they are not clear. So you need to have clarity, which means each and every word coming out of your mouth should be understood by all the people sitting in that room. And the third and the most important element in voice quality is to have expressions in your voice. What? How can you do that? Surprise, right? Oh my God, that's so sad. Now your voice is going down when you are sad. So you need to have all those expressions in your voice. So bring those, understand the emotions in your word and bring that expression in your voice. This was voice quality. Now let's come to voice modulation. What is voice modulation? Somebody sent me a message saying that great voice modulation. What is voice modulation? Toastmaster Mohanachandran.
This, ma'am, in my view, it's an up and downs in the voice.
Okay. What else? Voice modulation. Yeah.
Voice according to the context.
Voice modulation. Many people think that, you change your voice as per the character's dialogues. Great voice modulation. No, it's not voice modulation. It's just changing the voice as per the character. Voice modulation is how you control your voice when you speak. And there we have to look into, again, 3 elements. I call it 3 P's. Okay? Pitch, pace, pause. Pitch, pace, pause. So pitch is all about how high and low you can go. Hi, Toastmaster Mallika. Oh, that's not Toastmaster Mallika. So high and low. So every time when you speak, you have to make sure, you have to look at the words and see where you are going to stress and raise your voice and where you have to go down. So the pitch should be like a wave, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. And the next thing is pace. You should not be too fast. You should not be too slow. Now, an average speaking speed, okay, when we talk is 120 words per minute. But when it comes to public speaking, your speed must be 90 to 100 words per minute. This is how you need to maintain the pace, 90 to 100 words per minute. Okay. And the last thing in voice modulation is pause. Most of the times, most of the contestants, most of the speakers ignore this part because they have to say a lot of things in the speech. No, you need to give space in your speech to take pauses. Now the question here is, where should I take a pause? What are the areas where I can take a pause? Your first pause should come before you speak. The first pause should come before you speak. So for example, if you are a contestant, you're called upon on the stage. Now you go there and, even before the contest chair leaves the stage, you just started. No. Pause. Okay. And remember 4S. Stop. The first S is stop. Second S, stare. Look at the audience. Third S, smile. So you look at the audience and smile. Now when you will smile, somebody would smile back at you, and that would help you establish a bond with your audience. So stop, stare, smile, and then speak. So you need to take few seconds to do this process. So this is where your first pause will come. The second pause must, I'm using the word must, okay? The second pause must come after the introduction, because you need to give this indication to your audience, which is your judges in the case of a contest, that now your introduction is over. You're slowly moving on to the story or the body of the speech. So after your introduction, you need to take a pause. You need to take a pause after questions. So if you have a question in your speech, please pause, because The audience should understand what you have asked and they should, answer in their minds. Take a pause after dialogues. If you have dialogues, if you have a character and if you have dialogues, take a pause because the audience needs time to identify the characters and the speaker. Take a pause after a joke or something humorous because yes, we need to understand the joke and laugh, right? So you need to give time to your audience to understand the joke. And pause after an important message. If you have an important message, take a pause after that. Now question is, how long should I pause? So there are two types of pauses, short pause, long pause. Short pauses should be somewhere between 4 to 5 seconds and long pauses should be somewhere between 7 to 8 seconds depending on the content. So if you are giving a very powerful question, okay, that would help or that would make the audience think, you need to take a longer pause for 7 to 8 seconds. How would I know if it is 7 to 8 seconds? You count in your mind. So when you stop, you start counting in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you move on to the next sentence. So these are some of the tricks that I'm telling you, okay, to make your speech impactful. Now, the third category in the judges' ballot is the language. Is there anybody or is there any Shashi Tharoor here in this group? Yeah? Who believes that, I need to prove my linguistic skills when it comes to contest. Let me tell you, please do not make that mistake. I have done it enough in my initial days and then I realized that most of the people didn't understand what I'm saying. So when they don't understand, they will not give you marks. Simple. It's very simple. So when it comes to language, though it carries only 20 marks, but that 20 marks has got value, right? So your language should be very simple. Do not even try to use big words, complicated words, because when you use complicated words, you will definitely goof up in the pronunciation. You will pronounce it in some other way and they will understand it in some other way and then the entire message will change, right? So use simple words, short sentences, short paragraphs. But yes, you can beautify your language by using metaphors, similes. Of those who don't know similes, similes are those words which we use to compare something with something else. So when I say that Toastmaster Malika is as beautiful as Manju Warrior, so I'm comparing Malika with Manju Warrior. Okay? So, or if I say that Toastmaster Malika is the Manju Warrior of this club, that is a metaphor. And we use a lot of metaphor, like, life is a roller coaster ride. Time is money. So these are all different metaphors that we use. So you need to use similes and metaphors. You can use to beautify your language, but even if you don't beautify it, it is fine. Keep it simple. Simple language. Okay. So this was all about judges ballot. Rule number 1, go through the judges ballot as many times as possible. The second rule, preparation. When do you start prepare for your speech contest? Is it that in January 1st is my contest and I will start writing my speech on 30th of December? No. You need, if you are a serious contestant, if you are serious about contest, your speech should be ready 2 months before your contest. Your speech should be ready 2 months before your contest. You need 2 months to practice it, get feedback, improve it further. So preparation time, you need a lot of preparation time to write, rewrite, undo, do it again, redo it, and be ready. So 2 months before the contest, your speech must be ready. The third rule is practicing the speech. Now, I don't want to comment on how you should be practicing it. You can do it in front of your mirror. You can do it in front of your, family, your club members, or now we have all the equipment. So you can record it on your mobile and check it. But what I'm trying to say here, whenever you practice your speech, you must practice it the way you are going to present it during the speech contest. It should not be that I have taken the contest so many times, so I will manage it in, on the stage. No, it's not like that. Now let me give you an example. Usain Bolt in his Olympics 100-meter final, he finished the race in some 9 seconds or something. Do you think for the last 4 years when he was practicing, he practiced 100 meters, he covered 100 meters in 2 minutes thinking that I will do it in 9 seconds in the finals? No, it's not possible. It is not possible. It will not come, because when it comes to contest, you're already nervous. And when you look at other contestants, you become even more nervous. So if you are trying to improvise on the stage, it doesn't happen unless and until you are a very seasoned and experienced speaker who can do it. So don't take the risk. Whenever you practice, you have to practice the way you are going to present it in your speech during the contest. Okay, so the gestures, movements, expressions, everything should be like that. That is how you're going to practice. Next thing, never underestimate the other contestants. Never overestimate the other contestants. I may have won the contest n number of times, but when I go there as a contestant, I practice from the scratch. I have never looked down upon any other contestant, because if I do, I will not practice. I will not prepare. So never ever underestimate anybody. Never ever overestimate. Just because a champion speaker is there, that single thought that, oh my God, he's there. Okay, let me try for a second or a third position. When you think like that, you will definitely be either second or third or nothing. Because you are giving all your energy to that person, and that person will definitely win. Because in your mind, he is the winner. So the universe will say, okay, let it be. There is huge power in the law of attraction. Okay. So never underestimate, never overestimate, which means prepare well, as if it's your first ever contest. Okay. Now that next thing is your competition. Your competition should never be Nisha Shivram. Your competition should never be Malika. Your competition should never be, any other contestant. Your competition is yourself. If you look at other people and think that this year I'm going to beat her, all you need to do is to improve yourself. You need to do better than what you did last year. That is the only competition you have, because you don't know how the other person is going to perform on that day, and how the judges are going to, give you marks on that particular day. So your competition is you, not anybody else. Now, the last thing and the most important thing, copying. Be original. Whether it comes to content, whether it comes to, presenting the speech, you have to have your original style. Never ever copy anybody else, especially the content. People think that I am the only one who's watching YouTube videos or TED Talks, and I'm the only intelligent person here. Let me copy some stuff from this gentleman and present the speech. No, 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 no. There are people in this world who's watching everything. They know everything. And now it's online. You never know who is watching your contest from which part of the world, and suddenly you will realize, oh my God, this is my speech. Now it has happened with me 2 years ago. Yes, I attended an online contest. As somebody invited me, it was his bad luck. I attended the contest and realized, oh, very good. This is my speech. Word to word. Delivery too. I wrote an email, nothing happened. But this is what I'm saying. You can copy a speech, you can copy the style. But how long and how far will you go with that? Because at some point of time you will be caught. Okay, so make sure that you don't copy anybody's speeches, or you go and track the old world champion speech thinking that nobody is watching. Don't do that. Be original. Keep your story, bring some emotions in that, check the judging criteria, and turn your speech into a winning speech. Anybody can do that. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not that difficult. Okay, so these are the 6 important rules that you need to remember and take care when it comes to speech contest. And learn those rules properly and play better than anybody else in that game. And I'm sure you will be a champion. With that, back to Toastmaster Malika.
Thank you so much, Nisha. Thank you so much. So anybody has any questions that you can ask?